with other parents, possibly.
That's correct.
Talk to the schools, see if we can't lobby for healthier food in the cafeterias.
It's quite encouraging to see that it's happening.
Right.
So it's not really at the end of the story here.
Right, exactly. I think what we're all looking for is a quick fix. We all want that instant pill, which is probably why diets are so incredibly successful now. We've seen the emergence of so many fad diets lately. But what you're talking about here is very homegrown, down-to-earth common sense, which unfortunately isn't all that common.
Yeah, and then my point is we should start our rethinking early.
Right.
Starting from baby formula.
Right. All the new parents that are watching, start now. Something you said to me too, tighten your waistband while you're eating.
Oh yeah, that's something people ignore. We can reduce the amount of food people take if they have the habit of tightening the belts when they eat. So something like that, something as easy.
So it's not complex, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
But it's another tool.
Yeah, so it's something cute, but it's proven. Yeah. So before go to a meal, just tighten your belt a little bit. It reduces the food amount you take every meal.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. So Dr. Kim, thank you so much for being here today. We've covered a lot of ground. This can seem like a very daunting topic, and it certainly affects a very high percentage of the population. But there are things that we can do, and it's not a quick fix. We're not giving people a miracle answer here, but we need to change the way that we think about our relationship to food, to our children, to our communities. So I appreciate, again, thank you for being my guest.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
비만과 성적은 큰 상관관계는 없는 것 같아요. 보면은 되게 비만이 활동을 덜 해서 오는 경우가 많고, 오히려 어떤 애들은 우리 중학교 애들을 보면 생활이 참 어떻게 보면 비참하다고 할까 그렇거든요. 밥 먹고는 학원 가야 하고, 저녁 때 학원 갔다가 또 한 9시, 10시까지 앉아 있다가 다시 집에 와서 또 학원 숙제를 하고 학교 과제물을 챙기고 그대로 쓰러져 자는 경우가 많기 때문에 오랫동안 자리에 앉아 있으면서 칼로리를 소모하지 못하고 좀 뚱뚱한 것 같은 친구들이 오히려 학교 성적은 좋은 경우가 있거든요. 그래서 그런 활동을 제약하는 우리나라의 좀 그릇된 교육 문화 같은 그런 것들이 오히려 비만을 더 조장할 수 있지 않나 하는 걱정을 합니다. 우선 목표를 정해주고 거기에 따라서 행동을 갖다가 옮기도록 이제 조언을 하는데요. 첫 번째는 자기가 되고 싶은 어떤 체중 목표라든지 그런 걸 정하도록 하고, 두 번째는 거기에 따라서 어떻게 음식을 선택을 하고 어떻게 운동을 해서 효율적으로 목표를 달성할 것인가 하는 것을 정해주게 됩니다. 그래서 성공적인 체중 감량을 위한 식사 일기라는 걸 갖다 우선 권하는데요. 그래서 10%의 체중 감량과 20% 식사량을 감소시키고 뭐 30분간 운동하기, 이런 목표를 갖다 정해서 정기적으로 병원에 들르도록 권하고 있습니다.
First, we want to work with restaurants, food chains, and food producers to encourage them to offer healthier food alternatives for children. Within the next few months, we will convene members of these industries for discussions and offer recognition programs for those that provide healthier alternatives. Next, we will work with schools and community programs to encourage healthier foods in cafeterias and vending machines, and to encourage more active exercise efforts, both during the school day and in organized after-school programs. We want to develop a Clinton Foundation AHA award for schools and community groups that adopt programs that meet high standards for promoting healthy eating and exercise, and work with sporting goods companies and food companies to support the efforts. And finally, we'll undertake a major media campaign and a series of grassroots campaigns all around America aimed at our children and their parents to promote better nutrition and exercise. If you just lop 45 calories a day, which is not much, just 45 calories a day, off the food intake of our children, they'll lose 2 pounds a year and be 20 pounds lighter when they graduated from high school.
According to statistics, 200 million people have diabetes in the world today. That number is estimated to rise to 330 million by the year 2025. Diabetes is on the rise in the United States. In California, there are 2.6 million diabetics. In Texas, 1.3 million have diabetes. In an average U.S. city, 1 in 4 has diabetes. In the U.S., there has been a 45% increase in childhood diabetes. In China, half of new diabetic patients are children. And in Japan, 21% of all children are diabetic. In 2002 alone, the number of Americans with diabetes more than doubled.
And doctors and U.S. health officials believe that it's reaching epidemic proportions.
With 2,500 new cases diagnosed every day, diabetes is a global epidemic. Do you know the truth about diabetes? Are you tired of taking prescription drugs? Are you tired of worrying about the side effects of these drugs? Are you frustrated from being told that there are no alternatives? Introducing the truth about diabetes. This provocative educational program reveals the truth behind diabetes, pharmaceutical drugs, and natural remedies to fight diabetes.
Hi, I'm Christina Seston, and you're watching a special edition of The Truth About Diabetes. If you or someone you know has diabetes, this is important television to watch. 17 million cases of diabetes in the U.S. alone.
That's what I heard.
2,500 new cases diagnosed every day. So there are people that call this an epidemic.
Fact: most prescription drugs are toxic and potentially lethal.
So when you're talking about the pharmaceutical drugs, are there any kind of side effects involved with that?
Every pharmaceutical drug have inherent risk, but for this diabetes drug, even though they are over a short period of time, they are very valuable for their therapeutic value.
So they do something positive in the fight against diabetes.
Yeah, they control blood glucose temporarily. They're very good for that, but they're good only for that. So at that time, even though it doesn't help to control blood sugar, it only have this horrible side effects: liver failure, kidney failure, brain, heart, just name it.
So it sounds like at this point, with those things that you're listing off there, that they sound worse than the disease of diabetes itself.
Oh, some people even argue that the half of the kidney failure of diabetic patients are actually from these drugs, not from diabetes. So we are talking about, we just don't know. We reach a certain point where we don't know which one is worse.
Which one is worse?
Yeah.
Right. So it all sounds rather hopeless.
They are addictive drugs and they're liable to keep on going for their whole life.
Is that right?
So the pharmaceutical industry is very interested in keeping people going on their medicines.
Well, there is no good drugs now to curb diet and appetite. I mean, there have been lots tried, but they all have fairly profound side effects.
A recent edition of the Wall Street Journal published an article stating that scientists suggested that insulin was the culprit of type 1 diabetes. Furthermore, researchers concluded that insulin itself is the critical trigger in the development of type 1 diabetes. Want more proof of the devastating effects of pharmaceutical drugs? Try searching online by typing in diabetes class action. You'll find over 3 million related sites. Are you tired of taking prescription drugs? Are you tired of worrying about the side effects of these drugs? Are you frustrated from being told that there are no alternatives? The Truth About Diabetes is a provocative educational program that reveals the truth behind diabetes, pharmaceutical drugs, and natural remedies to combat diabetes. And by watching this program, you'll put yourself on the road to a healthier lifestyle. You could be free from harmful, toxic pharmaceutical drugs. Discover what thousands of diabetics already know about the natural methods mentioned in The Truth About Diabetes. Watch The Truth About Diabetes for 30 days risk-free. If you aren't satisfied, simply return it and we'll refund your money minus shipping and handling. Pick up the phone and call the toll-free number on your screen or log on to www.thetruthaboutdiabetes.info right now to order your copy of this provocative program. This educational program is endorsed as the most informative source of information about diabetes by the diabetechannel.tv. For more information, visit www.thediabetechannel.tv. There are thousands of herbs and hundreds of herbal supplements for diabetes on the market. They all claim to be beneficial for fighting diabetes. Not all, but many of them are actually quite beneficial. They are produced by respectable manufacturers after rigorous research. Some of them are very affordable. You can even make an herbal treatment at home yourself. With the thousands of choices, how do you know which one to choose?
Right now, there are about more than 2,000 herbs and these plant-based medicines, drugs that are shown to be effective to control blood glucose.
Not all herbs are safe. Some can even be fatal.
For example, some are toxic, even fatal. So other herbs, actually most of the diabetic herbs we see on the market in North America, they are anti-diabetic. They lower blood glucose by inducing artificial indigestion, meaning that if people, even if people take food, it doesn't get digested. But anyhow, if you just look at the end results, it lowers blood glucose.
Discover what thousands of diabetics already know about the natural methods mentioned in The Truth About Diabetes.
When we're talking about alternative medications like these, what sort of criteria or standards exist?
Whenever you are approaching this natural treatment or herbal treatment, I think you can use 6 or 7 criteria. Let me just go slowly here.
Sure.
One, the effects should be proven scientifically.
Right.
Secondly, it should be safe. No resistance. Yeah. So modes of action should be identified. And then also it should be available to everybody.
Right.
And then we should also look at whether its change is fundamental or long-term. We should look at that too. And then another thing, another criteria we should look at is whether it addresses the whole body.
Using these 7 criteria, this program will guide you on how to select the safest herbs and medically effective herbal products. More importantly, this program will also scientifically guide you on how to avoid the harmful herbs and ineffective herbal supplements. This program will offer impartial and objective guidelines from world-class experts. This program will tell you how to find herbs and herbal supplements recommended by many international diabetes associations and many medical doctors who believe that they are the ideal cures.
So what are the doctors saying? What's the medical community here saying?
Oh, there are, when we first started, people were skeptical. I can understand that.
What was the skepticism about?
Because up until 10 years ago, there was a kind of a general skepticism in North America that anything herbal is just not really scientific, but not anymore.
Right, that's changed dramatically now.
Yeah, after the studies after studies, right now it is already an established science. So right now, thousands of doctors are very open-minded toward this herbal treatment, and about our particular product, the leaderships of American Diabetic Associations recommend this treatment to their own patients. Many doctors are using this product on themselves. Right now, there is even a forum of doctors in which they exchange their first-hand clinical experiences about this product. So doctors are excited about this product too.
Sounds like there's a lot of credibility.
International diabetic associations such as the Korean National Diabetic Association and the Nanjing Chinese Diabetes Associations say that it is an ideal cure and a breakthrough treatment.
It is helping them enough in terms of their immunity system, their energy level, and also controlling their sugar level.
但是我写咗呢個 urine 3個禮拜以後，就發覺自己精神呢好咗好多，而且呢，皮膚痕癢呢都減輕咗，胃口呢都好好，而且呢呢個自己 test 呢個血糖嘅成分呢 從十二呢降到8。
Dr. Kim, is P700 the only natural remedy in the fight against diabetes that you would recommend?
For today's show, I'm glad to introduce two more. The 6 flavor tea, which is a traditional Chinese
6 flavor tea.
Yeah. In Chinese, I can pronounce 六味地黄黄, and this is from India. Pterocarpus marsupium.
So you've mentioned 2 different remedies.
That's correct.
Let's start with the 6.
You can also call it Indian Kino.
Indian Kino.
Oh, that's better.
Okay, let's work with that one. So let's start with the 6 taste tea that you talked about. Can you tell us a little bit? You said it's a traditional Chinese formulation.
It has been used in Asia for many thousand years.
It's very old.
Very old, and then it has been recognized as a very effective diabetes treatment by many governments in Asia. It is recorded in most pharmacopoeia of the oldest Asian countries.
And pharmacopoeia is
what? An official recipe for drug making. So if you follow the procedures and ingredients of this pharmacopoeia, basically they give the approval almost automatically. So it's like an official cookbook. If you take that tea over a long period of time, you get great results.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about the other remedy you mentioned briefly. I believe
Indian treatment.
Indian treatment, Pterocarpus marsupium.
You are doing very well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is an Indian treatment, and you used a word on the break, Ayurvedic.
Ayurvedic. Ayur means in ancient Indian language called life. Vedic means from Veda, which is a way. So it's a way of life.
Way of life.
Yeah. So it's a word that describes traditional Indian medicine science.
Right. And so how does this, can I call it PMT?
Yeah, Indian Kino.
Indian Kino. So how does this differ from the 6 taste tea in terms of its applicability to, you mentioned type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes?
Yeah, there is actually a very particular reason why I'm quite excited about this Indian Kino, PMT.
Right.
I believe some of their claims about its effect on type 1 diabetes are convincing.
Right, so we've been focusing a lot of the show on the type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, because P700 is mainly for type 2 diabetes.
Right, okay.
But even though
so the impact on type 1.
Yeah, even though we say P700 is for type 2 diabetes, some desperate type 1 diabetes patients actually use P700.
Fact. Currently, there are more than 2,000 herbs and plant-based medicines that have shown to be effective in controlling blood glucose levels.
It is exciting to review their studies and experience with thousands of patients. My own experiences with this all-natural solution for diabetes have been most encouraging. I am looking forward to finally being able to do something about insulin resistance in a natural, gentle way. I recommend this educational program to everybody.
This educational program is endorsed as the most informative source of information about diabetes by the diabetechannel.tv.
So, Dr. Kim, for the viewers watching, how do we make 6 taste tea?
Basically, it's composed of 6 herbs, 6 taste tea.
6 tastes, 6 herbs, that's logical.
That's correct. And then they are very cheap. It is very common herbs.
Very available, very inexpensive.
Yeah, very common. Even without taking the list of herbs, if you go to a Chinese herb store and say, can I get the herbs for 6 flavored tea, they know.
So you get the herbs, you go home, what do you do with them?
Basically, you ground it in a home blender.
Or like a coffee grinder, possibly?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then 10 grams of these herbs each time. And then you put it in almost boiling hot water.
Okay.
10 minutes. Here we go.
So steep it for 10 minutes and then it's ready to drink.
During the break, I made one. Please, would you just...
Okay, you've got a sample for me. So this is the 6 taste tea that I'm going to taste here. Wow, it tastes like a really fresh herbal tea.
It is a fresh herbal tea.
I guess that's what it is.
We sort of got dramatic results. For the first day, it had a dramatic effect on the fast-acting insulin that we used to have to introduce him to.
The Alberta report concludes that among other benefits, the treatment often restores normal beta cell activity. The MediFile report, a professional newsletter, confirms that this herbal complex offers near normalcy restoration for 70% of type 2 diabetics.
So Dr. Kim, tell us about P700. What are its origins? How did it come to be?
Oh, it started, everything started about 20 years ago. There was a Malaysian lady, a 70-year-old lady who was living in Calgary, seriously diabetic, very frail with all these complications of diabetes. Kidney failure, her kidneys were not functioning at all.
Right.
And then infection, gangrene infection was so serious, they have to amputate both of her legs.
Wow.
So she was checked into the hospital for the surgery.
Right. So she was facing the amputation of both legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I gather that's not the end of the story.
Yeah.
Go on.
So this lady refused to have the operation. She decided to have at least some life with dignity rather than have a bit longer remaining life with both legs amputated.
Right.
So she just refused the operation and checked herself out. And she went back to her own native country, Malaysia.
Malaysia,
Yeah.
right.
And then she tried all kinds of this folklore, herbal, anything, because she
had nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Right.
But the story becomes interesting when she came back. After 6 months, she came back completely cured. Kidney problems gone, diabetes gone, gangrene gone.
This is incredible.
Not all herbs are safe. Some can even be fatal. The Townsend letter for doctors and patients contains a testimony on P700. This new powdered herbal tea, so enthusiastically prescribed by our family physician, is bringing down elevated blood sugar.
It also has a remarkable